Let's go. Let's go. I am having a little bit of technical difficulties here, guys. So if y'all can bear with me for 1 second. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I do not know why I'm gonna switch over to my cell phone. That's what I'm gonna do because right now it seems like my laptop wants to be problematic, guys. So y'all can bear with me for 1 second. This just gonna load up and pull myself in here from the cell phone. Gonna work it from behind. Let's see. So welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining. Thank y'all for coming. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate everybody for coming, everybody for joining. I'm really excited to be back. I'm really excited to be back, man. And I can't even stress how much was missing while I was offline this time, guys. It's like I literally spent the last couple of months and I was recharging, which was necessary, right? Because I really was burnt out. But I just had like this feeling that something in my life was missing. And then like the moment I started planning this season out, that feeling went away. So I'm like super excited to be here, man. So thank y'all for waiting. Thank everybody who encouraged me to continue on while I was recharging. Thank you for everyone who pushed me to continue going to get back out there. Every comment, every text message, every hey, get back out there, man. That was really encouraging. Thank y'all for y'all patience while I recharge because I kind of ended without a restart date in mind. Thank you for everyone who invited me on. My good bro Nari, I was on his podcast, Two Kings. Check that out, Two Kings 215. I was on a podcast with KB and Plando. Check them out. I was on the podcast. With one more that I'm forgetting right now, but I was on a few other shows while I was offline, so I wasn't completely silent. Oh yeah, my boy Tim, I'll talk if you listen, check him out. But I'm back. I'm home. It's no place like home. In season 3, we're going to talk about the 7 deadly vices, 7 deadly sins, the 7 capital sins are. There's a bunch of different names, but there's 7 of them, and we're going to talk about in particular how they impact men, how these things impact men, what you can do as a man to recognize it, what you can do to combat it, and then for everyone that I have a man come on to talk about how it's impacted him, what it looks like. The following episode will be with women, so we can talk about how they can recognize it as a woman. They can ask some questions like, "What can I do to help a man that's struggling with lust, or that's struggling with pride, or that's struggling with gluttony? What can I do?" So that's going to be what this season is all about. I'm super excited. So we're starting off with lust. I promise y'all that wasn't on purpose because I'm a man. But you know what I'm saying? We're gonna start off with lust. Lust was just the easiest one to plan um, out of the 7. So I always get really excited when I get to have one of my childhood friends, one of my lifelong friends come on, man. This guy has known me probably since I was like 2 years old, man. And it's amazing when you know somebody from that young and you grow up with them and you just see all the victories they win, all the battles they go through, all the struggles that they have. And it doesn't matter if we talk once in a year or once every 5 years, the conversation is always like there was no time lost. And it's always like he lived right across the hall from me, man. It's a wonderful father, man. a great friend of mine, and I'm very, 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 very excited to be introducing my good brother, my friend Marty Brown. Marty, what's good, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Big Reese? How you, brother?
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I'm so glad you could join.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is a long time coming.
Ah, man, this is
We
gonna be
we
great, man.
we,
This is
we
gonna
come we go way back 30 plus 30 years
be bro. We
plus.
no, we came from being kids to being young parents together to, yeah, I mean, struggling financially, getting out the struggle. Yeah, I mean, we've been through this thing together, man. So I'm really glad that you could be here, man. I'm really excited about what you're gonna bring to the show.
Oh man, I'm just grateful, man. I'm excited to be here. You know, we've had several conversations and dialogue in the past on how to basically incorporate me, coming on and what topic and how we
Right.
and you took a break. So, we're going to start off season 3 with some fire,
Yeah.
good fire, good,
Some real fire.
good fire.
Some real fire. You got my mom and my sister both saying hello to you. So
Hello, Miss Wanda Niche. You know,
um but yeah, do a couple quick housekeeping things and we're gonna jump into the discussion. First of all, guys, as you see it scrolling at the bottom, if you have an Instagram, please follow us on Instagram at the My Brother Show. Um, yeah, that's where you can stay in tune, you can stay in touch, you get some good inspirational posts from me from there as well. Also, if you like to support anything that I'm doing here with the My Brother Show, any donations could be sent on Cash App to $ my brother. Um, that's where you can send donations to. Also, one more thing of housekeeping. I just celebrated a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to me. I hit the big 33 yesterday, so it's my Jesus year, and I had an amazing, amazing time, amazing time. So I think everybody who came out and celebrated, I got a bunch of text messages, a bunch of posts. I still haven't gotten through all my Facebook posts and all my Instagram comments yet. I'm trying to. It's so many of them. At one point yesterday, I had 70 unread text messages, all saying happy birthday, man. So you guys really, really, really made me feel loved. And as a person who pours a lot out, it's good to have that moment to get refilled. So I pour a lot of love out into other people. So you guys really refilled me. You guys made me feel special. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to what year 33 is going to bring in my life. Um, so, all right, bro, like let's jump into it, man. Like I said, it's gonna be a free flowing conversation. We ain't need no agenda for this, man. Um,
we just flowing like we on the phone.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's just start simple, man. How do you define lust?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I believe that it can be so many different, you know, um, definitions of lust, depending on, you know, um, the product or the thing, or the person or the possession that you're actually, characterizing it as. When I hear the word lust, I automatically, you know, jump right into the sexual nature,
Right.
of lust. Of course, you can lust, you know, on or of many different things. You can lust on anything really, but I always like try to comprise it with the sexual nature of the word lust, and I kind of characterize it as a natural, sexual desire, that basically seeks satisfaction, based on physical attraction.
Hmm.
So that's my condensed version of lust when I hear the word lust.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think that the term lust, generally speaking, has a very sexual connotation. From the research I've done, originally it wasn't deemed as just sexual desire. The
Yeah.
original meaning of the word lust is just an intense desire.
Oh yeah.
So, if you could go all the way back, like lust just meant like he desires something. It could be money, power, fame, whatever. And nowadays in present day, it definitely refers to sexual nature. So, I wholeheartedly agree with what it is that you're saying. And with that in mind, when we're thinking about right lust, this idea of lust, in the sexual nature, what do you consider innocent from us as men? And what do you consider? Because I think that like part of the reason that there's some of this disconnect between men and women, especially in a relationship aspect, is because we have different opinions at time, right? Of what is innocent and what's not innocent, what you can do, like what's lustful, what's completely innocent. Like if I flirt with the chick in the drive-through, I don't get her phone number or nothing. I might say whatever, that's just innocent. But a woman may say, "Oh no," what I'm saying, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So like if you look at a girl butt when she walked down the street, or what I'm saying, like if you follow an Instagram model, or if you follow strippers on social media, whatever. What is that line? Would you say between like, oh, this is just innocent fun, and okay, now you're being lustful, bro? Like, what makes that difference?
Well, I'll tell you like this. What makes the difference is the imaginary line
Hmm.
called the imaginary line. So if you don't have an imaginary line, you will never discover the difference. But if you have an imaginary line, then distinguish between what's healthy or what's unhealthy, or what's righteous or what's unrighteous, or what's good or what's bad when it comes to lust. And everybody have their limitation. So for me, it all boils down to the matter of the heart. Like, what is your intentions?
Hmm.
What are you really doing this for? In other words, is if you're in a drive-through, and there's a woman, or so those people that prefer same gender, lust is lust, right? So
Hmm.
let's say the person that you see, that you have a physical attraction with, the moment that you notice them, it's what you do at that particular time. You
Hmm.
know, it's the matter of the heart. It's like, what is your intentions? Like, if you are going to, ask this person for their contact information or their number, why? Like, ask yourself in your head, like, why am I doing this? Is it because they look attractive? Is it because I like the color of their shirt? Like, what are we really doing this for? You
Right, right.
It's all about your intentions, and your intentions come from you drawing an imaginary line, to set that boundary on what's good and what's bad. Now, if you are in a monogamous relationship, of course, if you are asking someone for their number, if it's not business related, etc., that's going to compromise your relationship status, then automatically is bad.
Right, right, right.
That person walk past you and you see them, you know what I mean, or you notice them, and you keep on looking, then at that point it's bad. Or even if you're single, I always tell men all the time the same thing. Seeing and looking are two different things. You
Yeah,
can see someone just out of your peripheral. What it is, you can see them when they walk past you. You notice them. You have eyes, so you see them. And men, we already know that we are visual creatures. So when we see something, we just noticed it. But it's when we look, and when we gaze, and when we stare, or we look back, or look twice again, that's when that's when we get in trouble.
oh yeah. I think you just knocked it out the park, brother. And I think that uh follow through is definitely, like, for me, that's my personal, that's the difference, right? So follow through. So like there are times where if I say something to the chick in the drive through at Wendy's, I have no intention on following through sometimes. Like I'm never gonna see her again, blah blah blah. Cool, I made her laugh. I'm
Yeah.
all we're good. But there's been occasions, like, we're gonna be transparent, right? We keep it, we're always transparent, we're honest. So it's been occasions where I've seen someone attractive in the store, and like their name, if they have like a unique name on their name tag, I've looked them up on social media and sent them messages and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's at the point, you know what I'm saying? That's the follow through that I mean, right?
Yeah.
There's been times where even in like a work environment, you know what I'm saying? You look up coworkers on social media and things like that. Like, in that's when I think it starts to become lustful, right?
Yeah.
Um so my next question for you, bro, is, so why so we talking about the seven deadly vices this season, right?
Yes,
And I
sir.
think most men in the male circles would agree that the one that we struggle with the most would be pride, if we're talking about all seven.
Mhm.
But the one that gets the most attention is lust.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So pride is the biggest struggle, but the one that we talk about is lust.
Yeah.
Why do you think that lust gets the most attention, although it's not the greatest struggle?
Well, it could be many different reasons, but
Mm,
two reasons for me, I believe. Number one is it's the lust is the most natural and common seven deadly sins that gets the least attention to confront. In
mm,
other words, is we might not talk about it, a lot, but when we really sit down and think about it, it's the one that get the least attention as far as us individually actually confronting it. Now we'll talk as men at the cookout, at the basketball court, in the barbershop. We'll talk about the byproducts of it,
Mm-hmm.
over time, but we won't confront it ourselves individually. And the second reason is, in my opinion, is because that's the sin that have deeper rooted, issues that cause lust that we are not aware of.
Mm.
Pride. We're aware of pride. Most men, we have egos. You know what I mean? So we're aware of it. We might not know how to express it the righteous way or the right way or the healthy way. But when it comes to lust, it's a thin line between love and lust, right? That lust thing is a thin line between love and lust. So sometimes we get caught, straddling the fence because we don't know how to identify it, and when we do identify it, it's very, very difficult to confront it. So it's one of those seven deadly sins, as you call it, that's very hard to confront because you really have to look yourself in the mirror at that point and
Yeah.
and dig deep within yourself internally to see
Mm-hmm.
what is the root cause of you and I as men having this lust issue.
Right, right, right. And I agree with what you're saying, right? So I think that one, lust is probably the most celebrated of the seven. Like that's the one that like it's socially acceptable, right? Like it's okay. Like you know what I'm saying? Depending on what circle you're around, it might be encouraged. Like I've been in environments before where older men would be like, yeah, man, like look at her right there, man. Yeah, you need to get at that. Like, ain't she looking good today? I've been in situations where I've been at church at times where someone texts me like, yo, sister so and so, man, that dress hugging her right. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
there's environments in which less is just socially acceptable, especially in the male community, right? So I
yeah,
think that that's part of the reason that it gets as much attention because like it's the and I also think that that's the only one that largely speaking involves another party,
yeah,
right? That's the only one of the seven vices that like you pride is an alone thing, gluttony is an alone thing, wrath is by yourself. You know what I'm saying? All those you gotta handle by yourself. Lust is the only one that involves well, I mean like unless you're talking about self love and masturbation, largely speaking, it involves another party.
yeah.
So I think it's the most easiest to spot and call out of the seven.
And you know what else too, Reese? I totally agree with you. And I thought about lust too. It's that one. It seems like it's the most one that capture a lot of attention in people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
for me, my biggest struggle, like, see how you said when you see a woman that you may be attracted to, you'll just go right at them and pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have the opposite struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Where I know my limitations. You know, I might see a woman that I'm attracted to, but I may not say anything to her. I might just go because I know that if I say something to her and then we begin to engage in dialogue, it may possibly, go to another level. And then I find myself compromising, right? So one of
Mm-hmm.
my biggest struggles was how to deal with when a woman is showing me the attention, when a
Mm-hmm.
woman is spotting me first, when a woman is listening after me and I'm confronted with that, sometimes it's really hard to handle all of that pressure. And then, we fold under questioning.
Right, right,
So
right,
we
right.
fold under questioning like, is a detective sitting us down at the table with a light bulb in front of us? We fold under
Mm-hmm.
question, because
Mm-hmm.
it boosts our ego a little bit. Like, dang, I didn't really do anything. I didn't basically put too much investment into making an effort to capture the attention of this woman, and she's all over me, and she's giving me all of this attention. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, you know what? Uh, Look, I'll give you a real story. You know me, Rich.
Right.
I keep it all the way 100. Everybody that know me that's watching, y'all know I call it straight down the middle. So
My
I'm
man.
always transparent with you. I remember a time I was in a lustful scenario. This is a long, 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 long time ago, Reese. Right? So it was immediately following my divorce. I was totally an emotional wreck, all over the place, right? And I was in a lustful environment with another woman, and I was just chilling. I was trying my best to pray, to talk to God, to talk to myself, think about Bible scriptures, think about things I've heard that can really help me, get out of these situations, and take the escape routes. We always hear our escape routes in our head,
Right, right, right,
and
right.
then like, don't do it, get out of there. You got 2 seconds left, or you're gonna fall. And I was just chilling, just watching TV, as we say, Netflix and chilling. I wasn't even doing anything. I was just trying to fight, through my struggle of not, falling. And, the time of the hour came, where it was 10:30 at night. We was chilling for 3 hours. Nothing happened. We was just chilling. And the woman, she's the one that got irritable with me.
Mm.
Like, oh, it's 10:30, Marty. What we gonna do? Because you're
Right.
not doing me, you're not kissing me. I know you're not gay, but what's up? And she just start taking off, undressing herself.
Mm.
Just like, come on, listen, you playing. Like, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I mean, I'm here now. So, I gotta give her a scholarship. You know what I mean? I gotta give her a scholarship. I'm already here. I can't turn it down. And one when I'm being approached with it, how do I handle myself? Accordingly as a man. And one of the things that helped me overcome that, because I did overcome that, was learning that men are proactive. We are built and designed to be proactive, where women are built and designed to be reactive, right? So if I'm confronted with the temptation of lust and I'm automatically reacting, then I'm not living in my God-given authority as a man. I'm reacting instead of responding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just jumping on it. Oh, she's looking at me. I'm gonna look back, and then I'm going to pursue. Or she's asking me to come over, or whatever the case might be in my situation where they're pursuing me, and I'm reacting to it instead of responding, saying, "I see it. Let me draw my imaginary line, create some boundaries, so I won't compromise my sexual integrity." So, I had to go through a lot of different, dysfunctional situations to get to this point today to be able to talk about it effectively and honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I wholeheartely hear what you said. I ain't gonna about to put myself on blast like that.
Hey,
But
I'm transparent, man.
but I see a couple comments. One's coming in from my mom, and one's coming from Aquila. Both of them are saying women lust too. Women struggle with lust as well. And I agree. Like, I'm not saying that women don't struggle with lust at all. I think that as a man, for me personally, I know as a man, I feel like I'm called to be the pursuer, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the opposite gender. So typically when I'm getting attention from a woman who's lusting after me, to what Marty was just saying, it does something for me. It's something I'm not as accustomed to getting. It's something that I enjoy. It's something stuff that I really like to hear. Um, so I look, when the ladies are coming on in 2 weeks from now to talk about it, so I don't want to dig too much into that. But I do know, like, for me as a man, my struggle, I this is weird because, like, this is so multifaceted, this conversation about lust, right? And when I think of lust, the term addiction also
Oh,
popped
absolutely.
into my head, right? So
Oh,
lust, addiction. And someone once described an addiction to me as something that distracts you from doing your typical day-to-day activities, right? And this has been heavy on my mind, so I want you to respond to this, Marty.
okay.
So I think of lust, if lust is an excessive sexual desire, if they're defining lust as an excessive sexual desire, right? And an addiction is something that distracts you from your day-to-day living. Do you feel as though men are addicted to sex in the sense of this impacts my ability to live day to day? And the reason I this has been on my mind so heavily because men have given up families because of sexual desire. Men have gotten fired from jobs because they're sleeping with coworkers and bosses and things like that. Men have um like had families on multiple sides of the city because of that. So do you think that it's my belief, and I want you to respond to this, it's my belief that the sexual addiction in the male community has gotten so acceptable that we don't even call it an addiction anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? The lust is so strong that we don't even recognize it as problematic. It's almost problematic if you're not on that type time. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been in an environment where someone's like, yo, you hitting that? And you like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm not trying to get at that. Why? Why not? And it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
maybe because I don't want to deal with all the drama that's going to come with that situation.
Absolutely.
So what was your response be to that?
What part? Okay, so I'll respond to the first thing, and I'll try to remember your second.
Mhm.
I don't think all men are sex addicts. Not all. I do believe that all men, are confronted with the temptation of lust. Absolutely. I don't care what your position is. I don't care what your relationship status is. If you
Mhm.
are a man, you definitely are human. It's a natural biological desire. it's how you channel it. It's and I know the deep rooted issues that basically create the atmosphere for lust to basically turn into an addiction. It becomes gradual. It's not a you wake up in the morning automatically you're addicted to sex or sexual behaviors. What it is it starts with the lust of the eyes and then the lust of the flesh. It's like you see something,
Yeah.
image, is in our mental DVR. I call it DVR because we can rewind it, we can fantasize, we can daydream, we can play it back, we can record. So I call it our mental DVR as men. And once we see something, it's downloaded into our computer. It's what we do with that afterwards that creates the atmosphere for it to become gradual. Because you see a picture as an image, cool. Then if you don't check it, then you're looking at videos. Then if you don't check it, then you in other words, it's your flesh is never satisfied.
Right.
Never ever satisfied. It's like once you indulge in your temptation of lust, it's like it gives you that instant gratification, and then soon as you get your release, it's over, and your problems and all your emotional issues are still sitting right there. So one of the things that I used to tell men, particularly friends, when they talk to me that know me personally, I always say getting high, because it almost have the same effects of withdrawal, temptation, of someone being addicted to other vices, and that's called it just getting high. And my friends used to be calling me all the time, like, "Yo, Marty, what you doing?" "Yeah, I'm gonna keep honest with you, bro. I'm out here about to get high." You know what I mean? It just that was my way of saying I'm in the presence of a female, and it's a possibility it's about to go down. So I don't think all men are sex addicts, but I do think that as men, we do suffer from a lot of temptations that draw us apart and distract us from our daily routine. And your second question or your second statement was, repeat the second statement. I want to make sure I'm accurate on my response.
Oh man, you put me on the spot.
Sorry. We're gonna flow with it. We're gonna flow with it.
You put me on the spot to repeat the statement altogether. I'm not sure if I even remember it altogether.
It's gradual. It's a gradual, it's a gradual thing before you actually become an addict. Once you give into the temptation, that's one time. You can recover and overcome from that. But if you keep indulging over and over and leaving it unchecked, it becomes gradual. And next thing you know, like me in my life some years ago, I looked at my phone one day recently. I think I told you this personally a while back. I looked at my phone. I had like 8 or 9 girls in rotation in my phone because I was hurting. I didn't understand the emotional effects that it was having in my life, but it was consuming so much of my time, my energy. It was just I was doing too much, but because I didn't identify a lot of the root causes of it. And I know you're going to get into that, a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Gradual. It definitely became gradual. And I will speak to this too, because this is very, very important. You had mentioned, a husband, or a person in a relationship. It will definitely terrorize, your marriage or your relationship. You can't be whole for a person, because what happens is most men that suffer from issues of lust are they're suffering in silence. Right? Because of guilt and shame. We can't go to our significant other and say, "Hey, this is what my struggle is. I had this struggle way before I met you, and I'm really wearing a mask because I don't want you to see all of the issues that I really, really got. I know I probably shouldn't have married you, or I know I probably shouldn't engage in a very serious relationship with you right now, but I do love you, but I have a lot of burdens that I'm dealing with." A lot of men don't come out and really, be honest about who they really are or who they become, after they've gradually indulged in lust. And so now that we wear a mask, acting like we're so faithful, acting like we're so committed, acting like we're so righteous and religious. But the truth of the matter is we're suffering in silence behind the back of our companions. You know what I mean?
Bro, it's funny. I legit was just talking to my nephew a few weeks ago, and I was like, at some point in life, men go from this phase of lying about having more sex than they actually are to lying about not having sex with people that they have. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're a kid, you're like, "Yeah, I hit that. Yeah, I was with Shorty. Yeah, I was talking to her." And then you become an adult, and they be like, "You messing with her?" You be like, "No, I'm not messing with her." And that transition is hilarious. I was like, I don't know when it happens. It happens at some point, like in your 20s, that you go from like, yeah, 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 to
Yeah.
nah, I didn't do none of that. But it's a crazy transition in life to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I think that you hit some things out the park. I think that one thing that's really been on my mind when I think about this idea of lust, and part of the reason that some men, the reason that men treat in general, some men lust after women in the manner that they do. Um, there's a lot of men who haven't felt love, right?
Yeah.
Who don't know how to feel love. They don't know how to feel love from a man because their father wasn't around or he wasn't emotionally available. They don't know how to feel love from a woman because let's call it what it is. Sometimes that mother son dynamic is toxic, and we
Yeah.
lost single moms for how great they are. And I have nothing negative to say about any single moms ever. And I'm never going to sit here and speak negatively about a single mom. I'm just saying the dynamic of the mother son relationship at times is very toxic. So there
Totally.
are some men who have grown up never feeling love from a male or a female. So you become these adults, right? And we don't go to therapy, right? Because no one talks about therapy in the black community. Here's my plug, my episodic plug for therapy. Go to therapy. If you're listening to this, go to therapy. If you're going to therapy, great. If you're not going to therapy, find somebody and go sit on a couch, go Zoom call with them, FaceTime with them, whatever. Schedule like an hour a week till you get better, then drop it down to every other week and then decrease it gradually. But just like you got to get quarterly oil changes on your car, you should get quarterly oil checks on your brain with a therapist. So go to therapy. But anywho, I digress. But because we don't go to therapy, right, as men, right, you grew up not feeling love from men, you're not feeling love from women. You know when you're in that bedroom with her, that means she likes you, largely speaking. That means that she appreciates you. You're feeling good in that moment from a woman. So I think that I don't always think it's the actual penetrating act of sex.
Yeah.
Someone said to me a few weeks ago, the fun things about sex are the things leading up to it. The actual act itself isn't really that different from one person to the next,
Yeah.
but it's the build up to it that gets you excited, right? So I think that when I think about lust and some of the things that I've struggled with lust personally, it has been just okay, cool. I like the way she talks to me. I like that she tells me I'm handsome. I like that she compliments me. You know what I'm saying? I like waking up to a good morning handsome text. Yeah, so I'm going to continue this because I want these good feelings that I haven't felt from women, that I haven't felt from the men in my life, that I haven't felt from my mom, I haven't felt from my father, I haven't felt from my sister. This feels good to me. I want more of this feeling. And to
Yeah.
the point that you said, Marty, you do that and then you wake up the next morning and you look over and you're like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I here? Why is she still here?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a reflection of that woman that you're laying next to as much of as a reflection of I had this temporary point where I needed this fix, like drugs. You know what I'm saying? I needed my fix. I needed my drink. I had my drink. Why am I here now? You know what I'm saying? I got what I needed.
Yeah.
I got that good feeling. I got that release of dopamine and that release. Now what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I think that when I think of lust, I go back to that dynamic of men not feeling love, and the reason that they struggle with lust so much is because they're really looking for feelings of love. And I've talked to some of the hoodest dudes I know, man. I didn't see some of the hoodest dudes I know cry when when a friend's moving away, or cry when they haven't seen a guy in a long time. And like I've seen some of the hoodest dudes I know tell me, like, look, man, like I really enjoy hanging with you, man. It's a different kind of vibe. I really don't want to be in these streets, man. But like I don't know what else to do. But when I'm with you, it's a different kind of vibe, man. I love it, man. Keep doing what you're doing. These are some of the hoodest dudes that I know, man. And then what would you say to the to make it a question for you? What would you say to the point that men pursue lust? Men are so lustful because they haven't been properly loved. Like, how would you respond to that?
I totally agree. And in fact, that is actually the root cause of men experiencing lust.
Hmm.
At some point, our emotional needs as little boys were malnourished. You
Hmm.
know, it was not met. And this is not a knock on, our parents or mothers or fathers, but that emotional need for the little boy, is very critical. So that when that little boy grows up to be a man, he understands the difference between love and lust, and he's not so entangled with, his five senses basically being activated and he's reacting to that. So in other words, for example, if you grew up as a little boy and you kept hearing the women in your family, starting with your mother all the way down to everybody else, hearing you say something to them, and they say, "Yes, all right, you are handsome." They hear you telling them, "I don't have the confidence. I don't think I dress right," and they keep telling you over and over again, "You are handsome. You do look good. You okay." By the time you become an adult, a woman telling you that really won't impress you enough to get you aroused, right? To the point where you're compromising your sexual integrity. So it starts from the things that, was malnourished in our childhood. And watch this. If we were malnourished as men in our childhoods when we were little boys, guess what happens? That little boy is still that same age inside of that grown man,
Mhm.
and he don't know how to legitimately, meet that emotional need. And he does the same thing that a little boy does. When he don't get his way, you know what we do? We have temper,
Right.
block people. We ignore them. We give the women silent treatment.
Mhm.
We walk out on them and never come back, right? This, or give me my ball back, it's mine, right? These are all of the responses that a little boy have that's immature, right? But the bottom line is that little boy is really trying to pursue a need that emotional need that needs to be met, and he doesn't know how to basically get it met legitimately, so he uses an illegitimate way to get it, and that's where the lust, basically it basically spins out of control for him. And I want to tell you something, because you brought up, a single mom. You know, uh, I salute the single moms that out there that are really doing their job. I salute them. But at the same time, a lot of, and I'm not going to incorporate women in this because I know you're going to bring the women, on the
Mhm.
show in a few weeks. But a lot of times women don't understand, the dynamic between mother and son. Because if you don't understand it as a woman, sometimes you can treat your man as your son and treat your son as your man. Basically giving your son all of these responsibilities as your man and then talking to your man as if he's your son. One of the things that I noticed for me that helped me snap out of it and really, really, come to grips with my struggle and really getting my life together. And it bothered me, it hurt me, was because one night I woke up, in the middle of the night, and I was thinking to myself, like you just said, when it was all said and done, when the release happened,
Mhm.
what am I doing here? I started to evaluate the scenario that I came
Mhm.
over here after this woman's children were sleeping, right? And then I'm going to leave in the morning before her children awake, right?
Mhm.
That helped me see was, wait a minute, I remember a time when my mom had a boyfriend
Mhm.
dating a guy, and we probably met him and all of that and all of that. But at the same time, it's like, wait a minute, am I becoming the boyfriend when I was
Mhm.
a kid? So that's
Mhm.
what he say, wow, I don't want to become a guy that's, just dating this girl or is temporary, because I don't want to be around her children. Because I know I'm not, listen, I'm only here for one night. I take my show on the road. I'm only here for one night. You got in that movie Training Day. Denzel Washington, Joe Hoyt. He said you got one day and one day only to prove
Mhm.
what you're made of. And after that it's over. So I kind of had that mentality because I wasn't mature enough, to get to that emotional state of stability to commit myself to a woman. You
Bro,
know,
and I agree wholeheartedly, right? So
yeah,
like and I'm just like that mom, because I think that in one hand, right, you're taught as a young man growing up, or even as an adult, there is no love like a mother's love. That's what you're taught. Like that is the epitome. Like after like what Jesus did to us, there's mom love right beneath that, right?
yeah,
Actually, mom love might be celebrated a little bit more than what
yeah,
Jesus did
yeah.
for us,
Black men
if we're
worship.
being honest. Right. So if that's what you're taught is the epitome, right, of
Yeah,
what an amazing love looks like. And if that relationship was toxic, and I'm not saying that all single moms are
yeah.
toxic, that's not the case at all.
No,
Like
no.
single moms are amazing. I can't even imagine the emotional baggage that you have to get through if you're a single mom,
Yeah,
raising a child that you lay down with a man and making he's not around. I can't imagine that emotional baggage. I'm just talking about the dynamic of the relationship, not what
absolutely.
created it. And I think that if you're a young man and you hear your mom call you all kinds of curse words, all
Yeah,
kinds of bad names, all kinds of things like that, growing up, you're either going to do one of two things. One, you're going to say to yourself, man, if that's the best love got to offer me, I don't want it, which I think a lot of men do.
Yes.
Or two, you're going to cling to situations that were better than that and then leave. Like you cling the situation. So I think that those are the two behaviors that you see very often from men too, right? You cling
Yeah.
to a situation for a little bit because it makes you feel good, then it starts to go bad and you leave. And then because in those moments you feel loved, right? And it's a feeling that you haven't felt very often.
Yeah.
I had an episode a few months ago called Loving Him. It was just about what some things that you can do as a woman to love a man. But just in general, like some things that I've learned is like there's some men who have never felt love
Yeah.
properly. I'm not going to say never felt love, but they've never felt love properly. There's some men who have never been listened to.
Yep.
There's some men who have never had an environment where they even felt like that they could talk. And I think that when I think that part of the reason that lust is so prevalent among the male community is because seeking some of those dynamics, some of those vibes that we have not felt elsewhere, that we haven't felt otherwise. So yes, the build up to sex is great. If you find someone attractive, they find you attractive. You guys are flirting back and forth, or you waking up to that good morning handsome text, and you getting, if they real nice, they start cooking for you and bringing you food and things like that. That stuff feels really, really great in a moment because it's a feeling that it feels good to feel love. Like, well, this person genuinely likes me.
Yeah.
Um, there, there's a certain dynamic, a male dynamic when it comes to feeling loved, right? Where that I know as a man, there's been times in my life, and I'm not saying currently, but there have been times in my life that I felt like I could only be loved romantically
Yeah.
if I brought something to the like if I was like for what I did as a provider, like that
Yeah.
was my measurement of love, right? What
Yeah.
I did as a provider. So if I wasn't providing, then I wasn't giving love. But if I was providing, if I was paying the bills, or if I was, treating when we went out to dinner, then I could get love. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that very much leads to the desire to go elsewhere. Because I've talked to men before who have flat out told me I don't think it's possible to be happy with one woman, and I
Wow.
don't agree to that. But I've heard men say that, like, no, I don't think it's possible to be happy with one woman. And I think that, there are poly people out here who live very happy lives. And if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. I'm not about to sit here and,
Yeah.
crap on nobody's practice. Like, I firmly believe if it makes you happy, do
Yeah.
it. Like, it's none of my business. Like, I don't think I can do poly because one woman get on my nerves enough. Sorry, Chloe. I hope you don't get mad at that comment. But that's my personal belief. One woman gets on my nerves enough, so I probably couldn't deal with two. But there's some people who are poly. There are some people who are gay and are in very happy, homosexual relationships with other men. Regardless of what that dynamic is, if you're happy, I'm cool. But I think that a lot of that lust stems from things that were missing when you
Oh,
were a child.
oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, absolutely.
and that's why I think that this idea, this concept of going to therapy and getting healed is so important. Because to your point, like I've been with women before because I was having a low point and I invited them over and they took too long to get there. And by the time they got there, I wasn't really in that low point. And like I'm sitting there like, I really gotta do this. Like I done invited her over, like, and you here now, like we really gotta do this now. So whatever. And like that's the mindset going in um because I I that's been the mindset going in at times. I don't even know how to transition it. So
I'll say
um
I'll say what lust do, and I'll segue on
mhm,
basically what you're saying. It's very selfish. Lust is very selfish. Basically it's like, look, I did come in town, but at the end of the day, I gotta go to work in the morning.
mhm,
Over, you got,
mhm,
or when this is over, I got the role. It's very selfish. There is no. It's like a vicious cycle. It never ever ends until you really really get the healing from the emotional brokenness. You
yeah,
know, that you suffered from in your childhood, and it's very important. And I'll say this, and this might sound like a curse word, but a lot of men resent their mothers when they get older. They silently, they'll praise her in public, but they will silently resent their mother when they started to realize the toxic relationship, that they had with their mothers growing up and some of the malnourishments. And I'm not excluding, the father in this case. I'm just saying the dynamic with women is very, very critical, so it's very important that, that man really get the healing that he needs. He's going to have to travel down like me. When I had to go to therapy and counseling, I had to travel down a long road
yeah,
from my childhood to come all the way back up, and the therapist did help me identify, certain, effects that the malnourishment had in my emotional state. So once I did that, then I start gradually growing, and I stopped, putting myself in certain compromising positions. I'm not perfect at all. I'm just telling you that I'm not nowhere, no, nowhere, where I was before. And then watch this. It started out as me sitting back, laying back, and when a woman comes, then I just go ahead and say whatever I want to say to her in a respectful, gentleman manner. But then it started transforming into me saying, I'm going to pursue her. It's in our nature as men. You know what I mean? So now I'm going to go out. Yeah, what's up? Put your number in my phone. Ain't nobody got time to be playing. What's up? What is this? And the reason why I started to do that, because I recognize, that women already know within the first few moments of them encountering you.
Right.
That's just the
Right.
truth. So,
I've heard that too.
oh, absolutely. So why am I going to sit up here and play all of these games with you? You
Yeah.
know, but at the same time, me knowing that now, almost 50 years old, right? Wink, wink, wink.
Ah, he lying.
Like, no, let me stop. But being an old head, I would just say being an old head, old head and being older and mature now, because I know that, then I need to put myself in a position where I don't compromise my sexual integrity. So that means I have to be honest with myself. I got to keep all the way 100 with myself. Because me, I psych myself out like, I'm going to go over there, or I'm gonna answer the text at 11:30 at night. I ain't going to say nothing about sex. We playing ourselves. And we're 100 to being honest. You know what I mean? So now I've learned how to just have boundaries for myself. And we'll talk about that with the how
Right.
to combat it, right?
Right. That's exactly what I was about to. I'm glad you said that because I was just about to say. So, like, first, let's start with like, what's some things that. Well, we kind of dug in this already, but
Let's go.
I'll talk about some things that for me personally that I know because of unchecked lust I don't have anymore. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's some things that because I wasn't able to check my lust years ago that I don't have anymore. And the first thing that pops into my mind, right, is my relationship with my one of my kids' moms, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that was a direct that relationship suffered directly because of unchecked lust, right? You know what I'm saying? And at one point in that situation, right, I believe like my coping mechanism for the toxic relationship
Yeah.
was to go feel good from someone else. She's not making me feel good. She's not doing this.
Yes.
So whatever. This other person is making me doing this. So I'm going to entertain this because it's making me feel good. It's making me happy. It's making me smile. Had I been checked in, and I vividly remember, and I've said this on the show before, one night, like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm leaving my girlfriend at the time house. It's like 2 in the morning. Like we weren't having no sex or nothing. And I'm just living. I'm like 27 at the time. And I'm like, I'm in my sexual prime. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm in a relationship. Like, I shouldn't have to fight this hard to have sex. One, that was ignorant of me because sex is so much greater than just a physical act, right? It's a lot of emotion involved, especially on the women's side, especially, when you're talking about in a relationship dynamic. But anywho, so it was 2 in the morning. I opened up my Facebook Messenger. I saw one of my good homies had a green dot next to his name. So I messaged him. I said, "Bro, you up? Can you call me?" He said, "Yeah." He called me. So I'm on the phone. I'm going off. I said, "This is bull crap, man. Like, I'm just here for her, and I'm just trying to get some. I'm da 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 da." And I'm like, and he said, "Bro, man, like, this is what if I change my mind." I've said this on the show before. He said, "Bro, I'm 40 plus years old right now. I've been married for 10 plus years. You're always going to be sexually frustrated. You're never going to, no, that's not what he said. He said, you're never going to get as much sex as you think you deserve to. You're never going to get as much sex as you think you deserve to. So you need to learn how to control that. You got to learn how to control that urge because the frustration, you're not going to get as much as you think you should. I'm telling you, as a married man, a man that's married for, over 10 years at this time, you're not going to do as much. So learn how to control it now. So I took that advice. And I said, at first I was like, man, you don't know what he's talking about, man. That's just something. But now I really started thinking about it. And I said, but what's the worst that could come out of me learning how to control my sex drive, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the worst? Like,
Yeah.
we had a episode. The last episode of season 2 was just about like the sexual impact, right? Like the things that you lose because of pursuing sex and things like that. But in that episode, people talk about losing jobs. They talk about the bills that they're paying. I know people who are paying multiple rents. I like let's not even throw child support out there and how much money you could end up spending in child support because you haven't checked that list. I'm like, so the worst case scenario, I'm just some dude that know how to control my sex drive and I'll be good. Um, but it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And to this moment, I call him, I text him at least once a year and tell him, yo, thank you for that advice. Because it really, really, really changed my view and it changed my outlook. And it made me stop pointing the finger at her and start pointing the finger at me.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that relationship ended, but it's something that I've been able to carry on now in my pursuit. With as a man right now, who I'm at a point in my life where like I'm really ready to settle down at this stage in my life. Um, my pursuit is different now, right? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm not pursuing with the end goal of I want to get her to come over because I want to feel good in that moment, right? I don't pursue with that meaning. And I will get into it on the next episode, but there's some women who don't understand that too. And so that's why I know that it's a huge thing. Because when I'm pursuing someone, I'm like, hey, I'm really not trying to sleep with you. I really want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Like there are some women who that kind of like, oh, I'm so used to being pursued sexually that this is like new to me and I'm scared, so I'm pushing you away. I'm pushing off.
Yeah.
But I want to dive down there. Keish, when y'all hear this part, remember to bring it up in 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
once you start to check that lust, you start to realize not just from the time, bro, that you're with a woman, not just the time that you're with the woman, not the time that she's been on this. Like, there's so much mental freedom. The reason that my brother exists today is because I checked that lust. I'm
Yes.
gonna say that again. The reason that my brother exists today is because I checked that lust. Because I wasn't constantly thinking like, oh man, this girl ain't texting me. Like, who can I text today? Oh, she ain't hit me up. Oh, let me talk on the phone with this girl. Oh, so and so going to. I'm gonna go to date with this one. I'm gonna take this one out here. I was able to free myself from thinking about that. Like you said, you had an 8 girl rotation, 9 girl rotation. Like that's time consuming. As much as you like want to admit, it's really time consuming, right? So I was able to be like, all right, cool. I'm not that pressed about like sex. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a fairly attractive looking man. And like at this point, like I had 2 children already, so I've reproduced already. Like I'm not that pressed anymore. Like
Yeah.
if I really, really, really am jonesing for sex, I know what to do to get some. But largely speaking, I'm not that pressed. Where can you take your talents to, Maurice? Okay, you have this gift with connecting with me. Do something with it. So that's what I was able to do because my brain power, my energy wasn't spent. Oh man, let me get her to come over. And bro, and you got kids too, so let's not talk about the times that you find a babysitter and you get canceled on. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? You clear your schedule out and get canceled on.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like how many times you been like, all right, cool, we going out. I'm going out with homegirl Wednesday. Wednesday comes, she not responding. Now you sitting home mad and bored. So you're not doing nothing productive but being angry.
Yeah.
So like, what are some other things that you can talk about lust kind of distracting you from doing?
Uh, it was a glitch. Say that
Uh,
what question?
yeah, what's some other things that you can talk about lust distract you from going, or some other goals that lust distract you from accomplishing?
What do what are some things that lust distract me from accomplishing?
Yeah.
Well, number one, um, using my time wisely.
Mm,
I've grown to understand that time is the most valuable asset. You can't buy it, and when you lose it, you can't get it back.
mm,
So, us though, it consumes so much of your time that you can actually be productive doing something that's going to make you really, really be successful with that time. You know, um, another, you know, the distraction that lust can cause, like you mentioned it before, your finances.
mm.
Your finances. They always say there's no romance with finance, right? Or without finances, there's no romance without finances. It's a joke that people say. At some point, you're going to have to invest some finances, whether it be spending it on extra gas. You didn't allot for that fuel to be used to go over there, right? To that strip club or to this person's house or to this other atmosphere. You didn't allot for that. That's not in your budget. It's distracting you now. Taking a person out. to show them a good time. Or if they pay for their own and you pay for yours. You didn't allot for that money. It was because you were being impulsive, and it's the opportunity now. You can just jump on it. So all these different distractions are basically pulling you away, or pulling me away, or pulling us away as men from basically accomplishing the goals that we need to reach. And so it's like, okay, now that we done got all of that out the way, at some point I have to say, I need to maintain self-control and do something a little different for me. Because it's really not about the other person. You agree with that, don't you? And realize that it's not even about them. I mean, they're just different faces. It's a revolving door at this point. So that means it's all about me. It's about me checking my issues and being honest with myself and realizing my triggers. That's another thing. Recognizing our triggers as men is very, very important. We know what our triggers are. We know what our preferences are. We know exactly what we like. We know how we like it. We want to, we know how we want to hear something, what we want to see. All of our five senses usually play a part into, basically diving into or indulging into lust. So the problem is that we can't live by feeling as men. We got to live by faith. I can't go based off of how I feel, because basically that's all it is. We're pursuing a feeling of companionship. I know I'm not supposed to be in this room with this woman, but it's giving me a sense of, companionship. Now, of course, it's also giving me a false sense of intimacy, but hey, a sense of companionship. So I'm gonna stay. I know I shouldn't be here eating her food, but hey, it's giving me a false sense of somebody caring that I eat. The real need was, I was hungry, so the real need was eating. That was the real need. Food was the need, but I'm just going about it in an illegitimate way. But at some point, I gotta say, Martell, come on, bro. We gonna keep doing this? My mom used to always say this to me. This has nothing to do with lust, but I use this principle in all of the issues that I have had in my life. Either you're gonna stop or you're gonna slow down. And a lot of times with lust, a lot of times we make these promises to God or with our fiance or our wives or significant others that and even ourselves. I'm gonna stop. But in all actuality, because we didn't check the root cause of the issue, we just slowed down. That's all we did. We just slowed the car down. We didn't come to a complete stop. And another thing I want to say too, because this can, be misconstrued and misinterpreted at times. Just because a man has an accelerated sex drive, it doesn't mean that he's actually an addict. And it doesn't mean that he has lust that he's struggling with. He has a high sex drive. It's very simple. But it's what you do. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it's what you do with your drive. It's what you do with the confrontation. It's what you do with the temptation that determines, if you're maintaining sexual purity or not. That's all. That's what it boils down to. Of course, there's some underlying issues that we, discussed earlier. But it's all about what you do. How are you going to respond, not react? We let the women react. But as men, we have to respond. How are you going to respond when you're confronted with this temptation? And that's how you know if you pass the test or not. Because the test's going to keep coming over and over again, until we really, truly, truly, truly are honest enough to say, hey, I passed that test and I've overcome it.
Yeah, and that's true, bro. I think you knocked it out the park. I got a question here from Kelly that I want to respond to that came in from Kelly Michelle. If I can find it, here it is right here. She says, what are ways you break through lust when meeting someone you actually want to pursue romantically? So what are some ways you break through lust when meeting someone you actually want to pursue romantically? My response to the question personally would be, I always describe sex, right, as like a fire, right? You know what I'm saying? So like when you think of fire, you think of this thing that destroys and burns stuff down. But in the correct setting, fire is a beautiful thing. A fireplace is a beautiful thing. It's very relaxing. It's very warming. It heats you up. And a campfire, it cooks food. It provides for you. A fire is a beautiful thing when used correctly. But if left to run wild and crazy, it burns and consumes everything, right? So that's how I've always described sex. So when I think of pursuing someone romantically, I personally wouldn't recommend lying down with someone until like this is about to be my significant other. That would be my recognition. I think oftentimes what happens is we lie down, men and women lie down with people in the bedroom before you know what this relationship is going to be, and then you kind of figure it out after you already had sex.
Yeah,
right? So I think that to Marty's point in response to this, knowing yourself is a big thing, right? You know your triggers. I know who can, you know what I'm saying? You know where you can meet up at. You know what time is safe hours. You know when your mind starts to wonder something. I know how much I can drink. I know what if I start drinking, I'm going to get like this. Like I know these things already coming into the situation. So you got to know yourself to say, okay, cool. If she comes over, she got to get here by, or if he comes over, they got to get here by 6 and they got to be up by 9 because they start to get here too late after 9. Then my mind's going to start wandering and blah, blah, blah. Or
yeah,
we got to meet somewhere outside until I know where this situation is going. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that both genders have a lot more power in how they are pursued than we give ourselves credit for, right?
I agree.
So
Totally
I
agree.
think that if if for me as a man, as someone that's called to be a pursuer, my personal stance when I'm pursuing someone and I'm showing a woman that I'm interested in her, if I don't feel like she's interested back, I just step away. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm texting you every day, if I, texting you every day, calling you all the time, and you're never initiating, and then I'm like, I don't think she's that interested, and I stop initiating, and we stop talking, you just, yeah, I was right. You know what I'm saying? I stopped initiating. I stopped hearing from you. You weren't that interested. I'm okay with that because I've gotten to a point in life where I'm not 100% mentally healthy, but I'm healthy enough that I don't need the validation from a woman to make me feel good, to make me feel handsome, or all of those things. So since I don't need that, I'm okay. Like there's 7.8 billion people on this planet. To think that everybody is going to be attracted to you is ridiculous.
Correct.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to think that everybody that you meet is going to be in love with you and like you is ridiculous. So
Yeah,
I'm okay that if I found somebody physically attractive and they found me physically attractive, but as they start to get to know me, they said to themselves, I get this won't work. I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me anymore. So if you're a male, I would recommend getting to that point where you don't feel the need to be like, yo, shorty, you bad. And when she's like, no, you like, well, fuck you then. I don't even like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, you don't need that, bro. Like it's okay for someone not to be attracted to you. Same thing for you, women. It's okay.
It's
But
okay.
like it happens. Like I know sometimes women say stuff about ghosting, but there are times where like there's a such thing as getting to know a woman and making a decision like, yeah, I don't want to pursue this anymore.
Yeah,
Like
and
that happens.
I agree with you. And I think that my answer would be: was I supposed to answer that, or you the host?
Yeah,
You
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, oh, okay. So my answer would be the same. I thought basically the same thing that you answered was one of the ways to break through that is to start your foundation off as healthy as possible. I know
Mm-hmm.
triggers, and don't have nothing to do with you. This is the foundation I'm laying as a man, and this is how I'm going to, with my God-given authority, I'm going to dictate the pace of how this relationship is going to go. And on top of that, I have to make sure I actually get to know who you are. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I'm going to set a foundation that's healthy enough to really say I actually like you before I can actually think about romantically pursuing you. It has to be more than just physical attraction. At some point, it's like, okay, now that I know I'm physically attracted to you, there's some boundaries that I want us to set. There's some foundations, healthy foundations that I want us to, establish, and then we can discuss and go from there and build on that foundation, opposed to me just being attracted to you. We engage in sexual activity, and then we do that 2 or 3 times, indoors, and then you get frustrated because you asking me, but when we gonna go out on a date, huh? We didn't
Right,
lay the foundation. We didn't lay
right.
the foundation correctly or healthily. Now all of a sudden people are dysfunctional in these relationships, and they break up, and then it's all kind of chaos. Let's alleviate from all of that and just say, let's make sure that we set a healthy foundation from the onset. That would be my answer.
Yeah, and that's real. Like you knocked that thing out the park. That foundation is so important, man. Like I know once you get into a groove, and I know like people always say the first few weeks are like that honeymoon phase and everything's going great, and I agree that everything's typically going to go great in the first few weeks, but I also think that it's most important to put your foot down in those first few weeks because I feel like your partner, like if you ever look at how people craft metal, right, they heat it up really hot, right,
Yeah.
and then they bend it, and then once it cools off it's harder to bend. Relationships are the same way, right? You know what I'm saying? When you're pursuing someone early on, they're hot. So they're a little easier to bend, to shape and mold the way as you might want them. But once you start, the more you let them cool off, the harder they're going to be to bend, the harder they're going to be to move, the more they're going to be to mold. So I think that early on is very important to say, oh, this is something I don't like that. I
Yeah.
don't like. I don't think that early. I know early on we typically tolerate stuff that we don't like because you don't want to make that person mad. But what tends to happen is that's why after that 3 month span or so, you start to hate the person because that stuff that you were tolerating that you never said anything about, you get to the point like, I really can't tolerate this. Now I got to speak up. Now you're arguing all the time because she like, well, you didn't let me do this for the last 3, 4 months. Why is it a problem now? And you like in your mind, you're like, well, it's been a problem, but I didn't say nothing. But then I'm wrong if I say it that way. So I got to put it on you. And y'all going back and forth, right? So I think that it's very important early on to like establish like, okay, cool. Like I'm not that pressed to have sex. You know what I'm saying? I can say that early on to a relationship. Early on in the pursuit of someone, I'll even say like, yeah, this is probably how much I would expect in the same household to have sex with you. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, like if we get into a relationship, this is how often I might expect to have sex. Putting stuff like that out there early on saves you a lot of trouble. And yes, I was telling a good friend of mine who's a woman one day, like, yes, when you put stuff out there, you're going to chase a lot of people away, but you can't be mad that you're chasing people who aren't worthy of you away.
That's
Let's
correct.
say that again. Don't be mad that because you say, this is my standard, this is what I require from a partner, that people who know that they can provide that to you are not going to be away. You save yourself a lot of time, a lot of heartache, a lot of headache. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more lonely. I'm sorry, it's going to be a lot bit more lonely, but you're saving yourself a whole bunch of heartache and things like that. I had a partner one time, and early on, like there was a lot of red flags early on, but I'm like, nah, I can work through them. I
Yeah.
can deal with that. Well, I could tolerate that. And 2 year relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's 2 years of my life. That early on, I knew that these things were red flags. Like,
Oh,
I knew
yes.
they were red flags because very early on, we had, like, one of our first arguments. I was like, I can't deal with this. And, like, we hung up. But then, like, we started talking again and we ended up being in a relationship for 2 years. And the relationship overall wasn't really toxic. But that thing that I hung up for in
Yeah.
that first argument never went away. And I could never tolerate it. Like, but that's 2 years of my life that I lost. You know what I'm saying? Which is not to say every situation is a learning experience, so I don't look at it as like a waste of time.
Yeah.
But it's still time that I could have been spending with the right one,
Oh,
or
yeah.
spending looking for the right one,
Yep.
rather than being with the wrong one. So,
Yep. And you want to know what's dangerous too, and this is even more disheartening than anything else. Is most men have had children
mm,
out of lust.
mm,
You know
mm,
what I'm saying? And so now the children are born in a broken situation
mm,
called dysfunction between the parents, and
mm,
children are growing up not realizing that, hey, you were conceived, one or both of us were, suffering from the issues of lust, and now the child is here, right? Now the child is broken emotionally the same way those two individuals, their parents were broken, and it just continues over and over. But when you as a man overcome the issue of lust, you can then go to your child or your children, and you can help rear that little child that's still living inside of them and grow them up and give them the emotional support that they actually need. And that's one of the things that me personally as a father, that I'm really, really, tightening up on a little bit more in my life today, because I have teenagers as children.
mm,
And all of my children were not born out of wedlock. Most of my children were born in a marital state. But
mm,
I must agree that lust played a major role, in number one, possibly getting married, and then number two, even having children.
mm,
So it's something that we really, really need to check and not wait. Like, how some men might say, well, I'll deal with it tomorrow. No, you need to today. Today,
right,
I promise
right,
you, if you're listening and watching this show right now, you have hope today. You don't
mm,
have to wait till tomorrow, because at the end of the day, somebody's always watching you.
yeah,
And even when we indulge in the lustful environment with the opposite sex or some preferences, maybe the same sex, we're affecting the other person, as you mentioned
mm,
earlier. So their feelings are involved, and their issues are involved, and some of their struggles are involved in the same dynamic. Why keep things emotional emotionally dysfunctional. And one of the things that I love the most about my journey, is that once I checked, my lust issues, I was able to be realistic with my standards now, right? So I can go to a woman, whether she like it or not, and most women have told me they didn't like it, and tell her straight up, sweetheart, I know I can sleep with you. That's not an issue. My favorite two subjects in school that I passed was math and girls. I got that part. That's not an issue. What else? What else? Are you meeting on my standard list?
Right.
Because if there's nothing else that you're meeting on my standard list, we're gonna do a disservice for each other. So let's just not, enter into any dysfunctional, scenarios, right? And the second thing I was able to do, with my standard is say, listen, I know my triggers in certain environments I can't be placed in. So
Mm.
what I do now is, hey, listen, you want to date me? That's fine. But this is what we're going to do when we meet. We're going to do a meet and greet. What that does is it reduces all of the pressures of, you feeling obligated to sleep with me, or because I'm buying you something, or I feel obligated to buy you something, or I feel, no. Let's just reduce that, because I don't know if I'm going to like you anyway enough
Right.
to even go on the first date. And you don't know if you like me well enough to decide to go on a first date with me. But I know that I would rather do like a meet and greet, something small, in
Yeah.
a location that's public, because I got to keep it 100. There's times I went on first dates with women. I thought I was
Right.
dropping them off home, and we ended up in the back seat of my car.
Right.
I just got to keep it 100. So what I do now is we don't have to do all of that. Let me be honest with myself, and I know my triggers, and I'm going to make sure that I set a standard that's going to make sure that I don't compromise my sexual integrity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things. I'm just
Yeah. That's major. And let's transition to that before we get out of here. Let's just throw
okay.
out what are some other things that we can do to combat it, right? So I know, like you said, knowing your triggers is huge, right?
Absolutely.
Knowing situations to avoid. A big part for me in knowing my triggers is knowing the kind of woman I'm attracted to. I know the kind of woman I'm attracted to, and like I don't care if I just walked out of Sunday morning service, bro, and this new lady just joined the church. If she's the kind of woman that I know that I'm attracted to, I don't want to be the one to do that greeting,
Yeah.
because I know in my mind, like, yo, I find her very attractive, which is not to say there's nothing wrong. If you find her attractive
Yeah. Yeah.
and you want to pursue something romantically and be with her,
Yeah.
that is all fine and dandy.
Yeah.
That's cool. Honestly speaking, I don't like, I think if both parties are on the same page, you can have sexual relationships. I just think oftentimes both parties aren't on the same page. Typically, one wants a little bit more. But
That's
if both of you are on the same page about it, then cool. Um, but like for me, knowing my triggers is like, oh no, like that one right there would get me. I'm not gonna go talk to her. I'm
mm-hmm.
not, like, I might say hi and keep it pushing, but I can't exchange numbers with you. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Be the one to do your greeting. I can't do that because it's a trigger for me. I know when not to invite people over. I know at one point in my life, if I was texting a woman and I was going out to drink that night, I would tell her like, "Hey, I'm going to be drinking soon. Stop texting me once I tell you I get to the bar." And they say, "Why not?" I said, "I know sometimes when I start to drink, I get a little loose with my tongue and I get a little unfiltered, and I
Yeah.
might say some things to you that will either A, offend you, or B, make you believe that I'm interested
Yeah.
in more than just a sexual thing. So when I get to this bar and get a couple drinks in me, stop texting me." Like, that's what I mean when I say understanding yourself, understanding your triggers, and not putting yourself in situations where you're going to damage somebody, man. Imagine having a kid in this world that you can't see because of sex with either that mom
Yeah.
or some other woman. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Imagine having a kid that you were with somebody, um, and you have a kid, and imagine you're living with someone and you have a kid, and that mom doesn't allow that kid to come to you at your house because she doesn't like that partner because you cheated on her
Yeah.
with the partner that you're with now. Like, this is the environment that we got kids living in right now,
True, man.
because we have unchecked our lusts, man. So, like, understanding your triggers, knowing yourself,
I
understanding when I know, like, I even know my timeline, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I know my timeline between
timeline is
sexual
cool.
sessions before I'm gonna start tripping.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
know how far between like one sexual session to the next before my brain is gonna start to be like, all right, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. You having withdrawals, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be 11 o'clock at
Right.
night.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew I
All
shouldn't have
right.
called you. Right. So
Sir.
like understanding that, and then in the moments, like being vocal about it, having accountability partners, as
I was
corny
going to say
as it sounds,
that. You took my answer.
right? Having accountability partners, as corny as it sounds, is hella helpful. They'd be
Yeah.
like, "Yo, bro, I'm about to hit somebody up. I know I got no business in. Are you free, man? Should I just come through the crib?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or can you want to run out real quick? Or like, I mean, I just want to sit on the step or whatever. Like, I mean, little things like that are really, really helpful to combat.
Yeah. I was going
Lust.
accountability partner was my biggest one.
Mhm.
Just having a man that you can really, really be honest with and keep it all the way 100 with. And not just that, but having a man to say after you're honest with him, now you know that wasn't right, bro. No, I'm not co-signing that. No, you was wrong. Holding you accountable, like for real. And not being like, oh no, it's cool, I understand. And next thing you know, both of y'all are in the same situation, and neither one of you can be good for each other. So accountability partner is critical. I was going to also say substitution. That's one of the things that helped me a lot.
Mhm.
Substitution. Like, okay, usually under normal circumstances, when I'm tempted like this is the way I react. But I'm gonna do something different. Instead of me going out there, I'm actually going to stay in right here. I'm not even going to move. I'm going to substitute everything that I used to do and do it differently. And basically, because that's what it is. Even if a person is indulging in any kind of drug or paraphernalia or addiction with narcotics or alcohol, whatever the case is, it's still the same process. You still
Mhm.
have to substitute those triggers with something that you can do that's more healthy. It's like, okay, I know I can answer this text right now, but instead of me answering it in the sexual manner, let me hit up my accountability partner though. Instead of me reading some tantalizing story, let me go read the Bible, or let me go read another book that basically will soothe my mind, right? Instead of me
Mhm.
talking to a female that I'm romantically attracted to, or I've already had a romantic relationship with, let me talk to a person that I'm a woman that I'm not attracted to, that I don't have any romantic involvement with, and it's all about substitution, because stopping cold turkey is really hard. I
Yeah.
tried, so being more realistic about it, knowing your triggers, knowing yourself, working on your issues, therapy, understanding your timeline, accountability partner, and substitution. Those are like the 5 or 6 ways I know first
Mhm.
you can instantly start, you know, going into your journey of overcoming lust. And here's the thing, this is not an overnight thing. This is like
Right.
every day. It's a battle and it's a fight. And if you do it the same way we get into our lustful troubles gradually, if we practice gradually, it's the same way we can come up out of it and actually overcome.
Mhm. And bro, like other thing for a big thing that helps me that we didn't mention is knowing the consequences, right?
Oh man,
Like,
oh,
like
that.
knowing
That's
the consequences. Like there have been times where I've been like, I could, nah, like you know what I'm saying?
it.
Like nah, man. Like, cause if I do this, like, and this could be with people who I haven't slept with yet. Like for me, for people who I haven't slept with yet, in my mind, I'm like, this might go left, and I really don't have the capacity for someone coming into my house, slashing my tires, busting my windshield. I don't want to deal with none of that. And that might be a bit extreme, but it gets there. Like we're not gonna act like it doesn't get there. It
Oh,
gets
hey, Reese. Hey, listen. I had 2 of my cars keyed up.
there. Right.
And look, I had one vehicle, and I had it parked in the employee parking lot. So this was years ago. I went on vacation, came back, car key.
Mm.
Me and my stubborn, prideful. When y'all talk about pride, make sure I log in, right? I'm gonna make sure
Right.
that. I was like, you know what? I ain't tripping. I already know who did it. I'm gonna go buy a whole nother one. So I go to the showroom floor the next day, buy a whole nother car. The girl comes into my house 6 days after I buy the car and key it.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, we gotta stop this at this point. But
Right.
realize is my words. It's another thing that will definitely help us men with our lustful issues. If some guys that still have it, you gotta make sure your words match up with your actions. If you tell her that you celibate and you're not trying to pursue a romance, you gotta stick with that, no matter how hard it or you get, right? So
Hmm.
you, you gotta stick with that. Your words have to be consistent with your actions. If you're telling her that it's nothing, because that's what my situation was. Hey, this is not a relationship. You knew I was freshly divorced. When I got into this, but all of a sudden her feelings got involved. you know, and everything was cool in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, you know, things change. So, but if you know that your standard is what it is, and that's what you say, you got to stand on that as a man. Because the
Mm,
minute that you start, you know, compromising and stepping to the left with your words and actions not being congruent, is you're going to fall back into the same pattern
right.
of the lustful behaviors. I know that firsthand.
Yeah. And like I know one of my rules about I if I know I'm not serious about a woman, like I don't accept gifts. I don't accept food. I don't accept gifts. Like I don't take it. And I know it makes me seem like such a jerk, but I will not
Yep,
because I never want to be in a situation where someone's like, "Oh, I did X, Y, and Z for you, and you let me on."
that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So that was one of the rules I established pretty early in life actually. I actually had a young lady one time that I was in just a sexual relationship with offered to do. I was between jobs at the time. I was really young, in like early 20s, young, and she offered to do my entire Christmas shopping. I was just kind of talking to her about how hard it was for me to find a job, and she was like, "Oh, I'll do your whole Christmas shopping." And boy, did I need it, but I was like, nah, because I had just lost my dad. You know what I'm saying? I was out of work. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't nothing fitting to come from that relationship, but like me, like, you know what I'm saying,
Convenient. It was
clinging on super hard to her because I was in a broken place. So I was like,
yeah.
I can't accept that. But I know there are men who accept stuff like that.
Oh,
And
man.
I've talked to some women who've been like, yeah, I was doing this and I was paying this and I was cleaning this for him and I was cooking for him every day and da 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 da. And that's part of the reason that the keys get, the cars get keyed or the tires getting slashed and stuff like that.
I
A
was
comment came in earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, a comment right here from Aquila. Words matching actions. Like,
First match action. Yo, I was telling this sweetheart, I said, you're lying to me. I quoted like 15 lies. And I really did. And I said, you're lying to me. So this is what we're gonna do. I don't want to do this. We're not in a relationship or nothing. You know, you're not,
mhm,
but we just having fun. Thus that's a trigger for some of the experiences I had with women before you. You know what I mean? So I don't want to deal with that. So I put on a block list.
mhm,
And with the Android, I don't have an Android no more. So back then, with an Android, when somebody calls you on a block list, you're not going to hear the call, but you'll
mhm.
see
You get the notification. Yeah.
if someone texts you, if you're checking the block list, you're going to see. So I'm like, I see her keep hitting me up. And it was just that time of the night, bro. I got to keep it 100. Read the text and I responded like, you. Next thing you know, I ended up over the house. And then like I said, when the release was done, I was like, what am I doing back over
Right.
here? Like,
Right.
throwing on myself.
Right.
As soon as I left, she kept trying to call. She couldn't get through because I came back to my senses and I blocked her again. Even though I was done with it, it was like my actions were saying, I forgive you, and we're gonna build on something. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that at first. I was real angry. And I didn't
Mhm,
realize it at first, but as time progresses, you grow and mature, work on your issues. I realized like my words
mhm.
did actions. So that's why I kept spinning into the same lustful cycle
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. So, I don't want to keep the folks all night, man, but I know we could easily go for another hour, bro, man. Man, this has been amazing, man. Thank y'all for watching Aquila. I appreciate your comments. Zeke, my man, a little cousin been in the comments. Mom, I know you've been there. We've had a really good turnout for this
I
episode.
Miss Wanda. Sorry, I had to plug in.
Right, man. But thank y'all, man. This is amazing, man. When I say like my heart is full right now, and just that empty feeling that I've had, like to the point of what we were making about like when the moment being over, man, like this is my moment, man. Like I feel like when I'm doing this show, like whatever I've been missing, whatever I have been looking for the past few weeks, is gone. Like I feel great now. Like this is what I do. This is my passion. This is me operating in my passion right now. So I feel great right now. I feel like the next episode is gonna be really great. So I'm looking forward to having KB and playing Doe on. And Marty, man, how can the people find you, bro?
I'm accessible. Just come outside. I'm outside. Like no. Research, you put the plug up. You can hit me up Facebook at Marty Brown or Instagram at Marty_Raw. You know, I look forward to. I talk to a lot of men. Most of the men that I talk to have been in my situation where they were married and they were dealing with lustful issues, or most men have been divorced, and some of those causes were from lustful issues that they suffer with. Single men, I talk to men all the time. This is it's like I don't want to call it a ministry because it's not like official or anything, but a
Right.
man who knows my story and saw me overcome and that was there with me, when I had the 9 women around me and, see my training
Hmm.
from where I am today, I'm able to be a blessing to them and give them a lot of hope because everybody can't afford counseling. Some people don't have the insurance and stuff. I do it free of charge. Any man that wants to reach out to me, in any way I can help them in any way, just even being a listening ear. I'm cool with that. Whatever, I'm here and I'm
Hmm.
open to it to
Yeah,
help. Man.
and that's
Seriously,
real.
thanks.
Like I said it earlier, man. You women and men listening, y'all. Well, men know, but some of the women listening, you guys will be surprised at how many men have never been listened to. Now, I'm
Oh,
not talking about I heard what you said, but I'm getting my way anyway. I'm talking about sit there and I'm listening to you say that this is my struggle, and
yes.
I'm understanding what it is that you're dealing with. I posted yesterday on my birthday. If you guys are friends with me, one of my posts said, the part of the reason I had to make sure I celebrated, man. We live in a country as black men where the country don't like us because of the color of our skin. I'm living in a city right now that's on pace for 500 plus homicides. And I'm also living in a time where it's a disease going around that don't got no picks. You know what I'm saying? So how could I sit here and turn 33 years old and just let it pass like another day when tomorrow, more now than ever it's ever been in my life, tomorrow's not promised. I can walk outside and get COVID and pass away. I'm vaccinated, but I can still walk outside and get COVID and pass away tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could walk outside and get shot because it don't matter where you at in Philly. You in Philly, you might get a bullet, and like you gotta celebrate, man. You gotta take some time to celebrate. So same thing with Marcel said, man. Hit me up. I'm always down to listen to some men. I've talked to a bunch of men. I've coached some men up. Add me on Facebook. Message me. I'm really approachable, and I like to actually enjoy talking. I'm not a huge texter, but I can schedule time to talk with you via text.
That's more things, Reese, before we
Go
plug
ahead,
off.
go ahead, go ahead.
I'll do the first thing because we're public now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about this topic. And you know me over 30 years, and I'm not the same Marty I was, of course, 20 years ago or 10 years ago. But at the same time, I know that we are who we are, the core of who we are. As far as us being good men, and godly men, even though we struggle. So I'm going to ask you publicly: can you be my accountability partner?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, man. Let's do it, man. I think that again we go through these friendships. 'Cause I'm gonna do an episode just devoted to like the seasons of friendship, right? Because there's the season of like this man practically lives with me, right? And that was a season, right, where you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying you live at our house for a season, and then you go through the season of like, well, I might only see Marty once a year, but when I catch him, like it's all love, you know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
yes,
And then
sir.
you go through the season of I think when you're younger, there's a time where you take this stuff personally,
Yeah.
like when you're learning about life, and it's like, oh, how can this dude have been sleeping at my mom's house one day, and now I don't even know his phone number? Like that's crazy. But then
Yeah.
as you get an adult, man, it's just life. You know what I'm saying? Everybody dealing with stuff, and you don't take it personal. But
I'm a,
absolutely, man.
I'm saying it publicly to hold myself accountable. Now I can't get out of it. I can't even
Right.
back out now, and
We
that's why.
here, man.
And I'll do the same for you if
Yes,
you
sir.
what
Oh,
you
I
want.
need it, man.
Because listen, I haven't arrived. I've overcome a lot of stuff, man,
Mhm.
but I haven't arrived. I'm not, I have not arrived, bro. I don't think I ever probably arrived, But I will tell you this: I'm definitely going to strive to keep growing, to keep overcoming whatever issues I got, so I won't, have these little lustful issues, man. Real
Yeah,
talk.
and that's all we can do, and that's all we can do is just try to do a little bit better tomorrow
Yes, sir.
than we did today. And what was your second point?
The second thing I wanted to, because I know there are women watching right now, and they're probably going to go back and watch later. I want to encourage women. If you don't listen to any other thing that I say tonight, please, I want to encourage women so much. Listen, men are visual creatures, and I'm
Mm,
not blaming you, but please be mindful of how you present yourself, how you advertise your commercial. It is very, very critical to a man's, healing process because we're visual creatures. You know what I mean? When it comes down to the way that you dress, as far as certain outfits you may wear, it may be a trigger for another man. I'm not saying you may try to pursue that man. I'm just saying in general, you might be just in a supermarket, but there's men around that's suffering from trying to, the issues of lust and trying to overcome. And if they see that image, that image that that you're advertising, whether you're doing it intentionally or not, it's stuck in this man's mental DVR, and he has a harder fight, whether he's married or with a significant other or not. So I encourage women, if you possibly can, intentionally say, I'm going to work. I'm talking about the ones that really come out here and be a little bit provocative in their dress. If you can, I encourage you, because a lot of men, who are not coming outside, we don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be lustful today, or I'm going to just, cheat on my significant. We don't, that's not realistic. What happens is we get triggered by the temptation of seeing certain things that attract us. And sometimes that's a way a woman present herself. So I'm just, just asking for, a little bit of a lighter presentation, with your advertisement address, because it can trigger a guy, and you might not even know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And I also think that dressing provocatively doesn't garner husband type attention. That's my personal opinion. I typically, if I see someone dressed provocatively, I say to myself, "Oh, maybe I could get her."
Yeah.
And that's it. But bro, man, this has been real, man. This has been amazing, man.
Oh, bro.
I can't wait to have you back on in the future, man. So, like, I ain't even gonna say like I hope you can come back. Like, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, I can't wait to have you back on in the future, man. This show is about to be major, man. You got childhood friends, like that's Chris and Nat from the building right there.
Where?
Right there on the screen.
What's up, Nat? What's going on? 30 years right there.
Look at that, man. We got all the people from back down the way around here, man. So this has been amazing, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm sorry we went a little bit long today, man. But when sometimes in the conversation flowing, you can't cut it short, man.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't cut it short. But thank y'all for coming out, man. Again, 2 weeks we'll have the woman on the same exact subject. They'll be able to respond to this episode. They'll be able to ask me some questions that as a man I'll be able to respond from on their head, and I'll be able to give them some pointers of things that they could do to help the men, not just romantically, but like the brothers, the fathers, the sons in their lives who may be struggling with lust. I'll be able to give them some pointers on that. That's going to be 2 weeks from now. And we're gonna go through all 7 of these, man, so you can see how heavy lust was. It's gonna be real good, man. Like I got most of the season booked already, man. So we're doing lust this month, and then we're going to Pride next month, and Pride is strong. I got my actual blood brother coming on with Pride. My blood brother, and my other brother Herb is gonna be on here with me. So we breaking some strongholds this season, man. We're really breaking some strongholds, and we healing some brothers. So I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't already, I'm going to post the link to the YouTube link in the comments. Go subscribe to the video, subscribe to the page. Add me as a friend if you're watching this and you're not my friend. Add me. Hit Marty up. Yeah, I mean, we both around. I promise you I don't post no crazy stuff from my page except for stuff about trying to get a PS5. That's the worst you'll probably see from me. Thank y'all again, man. I love y'all, man. I'm signing off. Holla.